saw it myself. In Iraq, 5, 6 years ago, the entire treasury was the private property of a crime family. There hadn't been a Band-Aid put on any oil pump anywhere between Basra and Kirkuk for 15 years. A country that could have been as prosperous and rich as Kuwait was squandering its wealth on the acquisition of weapons of mass destruction, on the support of foreign terrorist groups, and on the support of a parasitic oligarchy. If you were arrested by this regime, if you were a man, you'd probably never be seen again. If you were a woman, what had happened to you would be delivered on the doorstep of your family in the form of a video of the closing hours of the rather detailed interrogation. If you were in Kurdistan, you could, I did, smell what it is like to see weapons of mass destruction used. Not everyone has seen what that's like, to see what chemical weapons smell like when they're still burning in the flesh of people who were hit by them quite some time before. They don't just burn you once, ladies and gentlemen, they go on burning. And to see the devastated landscape, to see what it looks like when all the heads of the oil fields have been knocked off and then set on fire. So first there's a flood of oil into the Gulf that destroyed all the wildlife in that area, every otter, every bird. I used to say this in Berkeley when I was teaching there, and occasionally you'd get some Berkeleyan going with sympathy at the seabirds and otters that had been destroyed by the distinctly ungreen Saddam Hussein. Yeah, well, that was bad enough. Destroyed the entire ecology. Should have gotten more, I should have thought, criticism for that. But then to set fire to them and to darken the sky. It was thought at one point that it would take 10 years to put those fires out, till they were actually put out by Kellogg Brown and Root. I saw them trying to do it again as the coalition came by. The willingness to destroy the environment, to destroy the ecology, as they had demoralized and tortured and ethnically cleansed their own population, paid people to inform on their neighbors, forced relatives to not just witness the murder and torture and execution of their relatives. That's easy. Any sadistic regime can do that. But a little detail, forced them to applaud. It's not enough to attend. You must be forced to applaud. A pornographic regime, in other words. That was eating the entire product of Iraq, a country that's important to the economy of all its neighbors. This couldn't have been allowed to go on. There was no possibility that it could exist, I would say, half slave and half free, as Mr. Lincoln put it, because we had got at least the northern third of it out from under Saddam Hussein as a consequence of the 1991 war. You could go to the northern provinces of Iraq, the Kurdish provinces, and see people holding elections, publishing newspapers, settling their own tribal differences, which in Kurdistan were not small. It's an old tribal and clannish area. It's the Highlands. It's the Scottish Highlands of Iraq. There's a good deal of vendetta up there. It was once the most backward part of Iraq. To see it becoming the most progressive, to see them inviting in foreign guests and foreign investors, to see that it could be done, that it wasn't a dream, that there was a role for a Western protectorate right in the heart of this region, and that things would happen there that seemed after what you had witnessed happening before the smell of the poison gas had even been blown away. Almost, I don't want to be emotional about it, almost miraculous. And to be decided in your own mind, at least in mine and heart, you wouldn't let that go under. This we will maintain. Yes, we will protect that. Yes, we'll put a no-fly zone over it. Yes, we'll make sure the next Iraqi plane that tries to drop a weapon or a missile in this area will be shot down before it can think about it. And to the best of our ability over the Shia majority in the south too, which means one thing, and not just a moral thing. It means we were already at war. It means we had a half-slave and half-free Iraq, and we had to know, however much we wished it wasn't true, however much we didn't want in our future, a maimed and ruined and traumatized and very difficult, very complex country, however much we wished we could avoid all the awful responsibilities of that, they were already in our future. They were in our future before Congress passed the Iraq Liberation Act in 1998. They were in our future long before George Bush was governor of Texas. They have nothing to do with the arguments about this or that piece of propaganda or atrocity or a provocation that you've all heard about ad nauseam, though I will willingly answer any question as to why I think that the basic case on WMD and terrorism was and remains firm and correct, never mind if, as in Kuwait, there were exaggerations or distortions. Never mind all that. It's a matter of acceptance of responsibility. It's a matter of the knowledge of geopolitics. We cannot let a country like this rot and crash and decay. We cannot abandon its people to barbarism, and we cannot expose ourselves to what happens when barbarism comes, which is when a major choke point in the world economy becomes the property of people who hate us. Neither thing is thinkable. So the acceptance of responsibility seems to me to be the first and last and critical thing. Now, what a lot of people want to know, and I think I'm now trespassing on the time I promised that we would share, as some people think, is this, well, what can we do about this? Well, I can't speak for you, obviously, as Canadians, though I would like to take this chance to salute the extraordinary courage and fortitude of your contingent in Afghanistan, which is guarding us while we sleep. And I hope you're as proud of them as I am to think about them. But I can suggest something we can all do individually. If you go to Iraqi Kurdistan now, which is the predecessor country for us, the bit that showed what the new Iraq could be like, the bit that showed that, yes, people can vote for federalism, yes, they can vote for autonomy, but yes,